Yo, what's going on, y'all? What's going on? Welcome back to another, another with a D on another episode of Audible Podcast. I'm your host, the man, the Woldster, the Wardy sign. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. We here, episode 108. Back fresh off hiatus. We won't get back and we won't get all into that. We're gonna get to is this episode. So first of all, before we get everything started, I want y'all to go to crossstreams.com. We got a lot of podcasts. The podcasts keep growing. Um, and actually getting better and better and funnier and funnier. So check out crossstreams.com. You'll find my podcast on top of plenty of other players that chat it up and talk it up. Let's get to it. So this weekend, we had the UFC, right? So I've discussed in the past how I'm going to get more into like the UFC as far as like the media side. I'm going to start doing more content on UFC, etc. Through my YouTube, etc. I really want to get a media pass. Like there are sports that I've loved like my whole life. Like up until maybe like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, football was my sport, right? I didn't I discuss basketball a lot more these days, but I didn't actually start watching basketball until like 2000. Geez, like 2010ish, 11ish, probably like the 2010s, right? I've just always been a football guy. Like I know everything that was going on in basketball. I know who won the championships, but I was really a casual. I didn't watch every game. You watch a Christmas game whenever I see something. But football every Sunday, that's what it was. Football is Sundays. You think about football Sundays again, we've talked this before. The games really pre-show started about 10, 11, and you watching until 10, 11 at night when the Sunday night football goes. So, if you think about once a Sunday, you probably donate 12, 13 hours of your day to the foosball. It's a lot of time. So, um, when I finally got really away from football and I really wanted to just get more into just other things in general, right? MMA was one of the things that I jumped to, and it wasn't on purpose. Not like I said, I need to find another sport. I was bored as shit of football, and the Kaepernick thing got to get to me. When you get older, you get a little bit more. I don't know if it's righteous or self-righteous, but I have a. It's not like I didn't before, but I have a little bit more of a realistic, moral code. Like I don't have to watch some shit. If I think it's some terrible people, I don't have to say, well, it's terrible people anywhere. It's terrible people everywhere. Fuck it, I'ma still deal with it. You know what I mean? Like it's certain fast food places I don't eat. It's plenty recording artists I don't listen to. Even ones that I grew up listening to because there's just a certain point where I just can't. Why would I ever separate an artist from like a person? Like, well, like actual people. What the hell is that? It's like people who want to separate um politics. Or you can't talk about politics here. Well, I don't know if y'all know the politicians in this particular country. This ain't Sweden, nigga. This ain't Finland. The politicians here are like actively taking shit away from people. Now, whether you the person that's is being taken away from, that's another story. But it's happening. Whether it's rights, women's rights, uh, minority rights, trans rights, whoever rights, the bitches is getting left. The bitches getting taken. So to me, if you're ever um just a big, the country is like I look at how other people get treated to know I don't need to fuck with something. I don't need you to fuck over me. I don't need to, you know what I mean? Like I don't need to have to go through. I can see other people get their hand burnt on the stove for me to know that motherfucker hot. Like I don't, maybe that's just me. Maybe that's, you got to try stuff. I'm good on stuff like that, but I don't need to touch the stove. So the type person I am, if I see a group of people getting fucked over and I'm not in that group. And it has nothing really to do with me. But they get fucked over for no reason. I can't support that. I can't support nothing like that. So that's how I am. That's how I always been. Um, so all of that is why I stopped. I don't eat. I don't eat. I haven't eaten Chick-fil-A in years. Well, obviously I haven't purchased it in years. People, they buy it for work to get catering, whatever, whatever. But I haven't purchased that in years. I haven't listened to Wayne, Kanye's. It's been whenever the Trump shit was. I guess it's been like 6 years. I just refuse to do it. Like I, people have different boundaries. There's people who don't give up all Cali. Sweet Lord, what a motherfucker got to do? Does he have to disembowel a motherfucker? Does he have to put the legs and feet uh buried across America for you to want to separate the artist from the the art? Um, but I don't get stuff like that. I never got into stuff like that. So when the football Kaepernick stuff came up, and I don't know, maybe I was already kind of on the rocks when it came to football, but I just saw cowardice, and I saw just pretty overt racism. Like it's pretty overt racism. And some people choose to ignore it. Oh, that was fucked up, and they move on. I just haven't moved on. I kind of refuse to move on, and I've probably seen one football game um since then. I don't really know. I don't remember what year that was. But I haven't really watched it since then. The UFC is let me bring it back. The UFC is actually climbing those lines because Dana White is as fucking idiotic and is fucking stupid as far as just like being a pighead meathead type of guy. Um, to where I can kind of get that with the UFC, but the promotion, the fighters, for the most part, great. I love the women's MMA. Uh, the storytelling of the UFC, it it's just a natural progression of things. You know what I mean? It's what I wanted wrestling to be. Like somehow wrestling decided to make like start making skits. It's somewhat always been like that since like the early 2000s. I remember like Stone Cold got hurt, and him and Kurt Angle was doing these stupid ass skits with these small cowboy hats and shit like that with the small guitar. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's just silly shit like that that I remember that I don't like. But there's also shit like Stone Cold chasing Booker T in a church, in a fucking the grocery store, wherever it was. But I also like skits like that. So somewhere in between, wrestling's kind of gotten away from ass kicking and more just like skit talent. I don't really know, but the UFC is hungry fighter working their way up. You see interviews, you see post press conferences and stuff. You get to see just a little bit of everything, and their rise. And the best thing about MMA in general is that for the most part, I would say 96% of fans don't really care about people's record. In boxing, your record, depending on who you are, your record is what you are. You know what I mean? Like Mayweather, would he would probably it would be attempt to completely discredit him if he had lost. Um, let's say the Pacquiao, like the last one, last real boxing match. If he had lost to Pacquiao, I think people would have tried to discredit the 40 something fights before that. Like, think how crazy that is. You can beat everybody, beat niggas for 42 times in a row, and then 43 I decide to lose, and then everything is discredited before that. Even though we're not gonna help off of Floyd Mayweather, he's a piece of shit, but you get what I'm saying. Um, he's an awful person. So with the UFC. there are a lot of fantastic fighters. Anderson Silva, GSP, Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic, Fedor Emelianenko, like guys who are great and who have had great moments, but they've also like lost. They've taken L's. You know what I mean? Like, and not a many L's. Cormier has lost to two people. Um, he's lost to two people. Fedor st- started losing when he was much older. Anywhere near his prime, he's beating the shit out of people. But much older with different types of competition. It wasn't just these cats out there in pride. There's a lot more athletic guys. When he came out here, I mean, he lost to Bigfoot Silver. He lost to I was supposed to say Cain Velasquez, but it's the person he beat Cain Velasquez. Fucking Hall of Fame champion. Jesus. Cain loses by submission. Like, why can't I think of um why can't I think of this guy's record? Why is this completely blanking from my head? This is so stupid. This is the dumbest thing ever. Fabricio Verdun. Jesus Christ. He was submitted by Fabricio Verdun. Uh, I believe he was either submitted or KO'd by Bigfoot Silva. And he had a competitive match with some dude that was like literally changing tires the week before. Um, but even past that, he's won fights, he's lost fights, but the fans still want to see him. Like it's a true fan sport, and it'll always be to a fault. Because you'll also have the hardcore incel type of fans that wrestling and MMA shares. Um, but it's pretty good that fighters can lose, people slip because people fucking slip. I mean, jeez, in the UFC, there's no hiding, right? So you fighting who you fighting. You're always fighting the best guys, really. So you're gonna lose. Um, and that's one of the things I like about MMA, and that's one of the reasons it's gonna lead me into the UFC recap because Amanda Nunes, like for a lot of new fans, we've pretty much since Ronda Rousey, right? That was her really like coming out party. That was 2016, right? So if more than likely, if you're a casual fan, if you're a new fan, a 6 year window, if you were saying you've been watching the UFC for 6 years, I don't really think that's like casual really no more. If you've seen like a lot of pay-per-views a year and fight nights and stuff. But if you've been watching for that long, you haven't seen her lose in 6 years. So you would think that she's invincible almost. You know what I mean? Like it's been all KOs. She's beaten everybody who needs to be beat, right? So she beat Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey had just lost to Holly Holm, but she was still that girl. Um, who the hell is she? She had choked Amanda Tate, and then she did. Then she beat Valentina Shevchenko again. This is the second time they fought. So first of all, beating Valentina Shevchenko twice. Okay, that's within itself. Beating Ronda Rousey within itself. Um, the next fight, she beats Raquel Pennington. The next fight, she beats Christine Justina. Why is she fighting her? Who is this? Christiane Justino. Oh, it's Cyborg. Jesus Christ. Who the hell is that? Just put Cyborg up here. So she killed Cyborg in the first round in under a minute, which is just one of the craziest fights you've ever seen. Cyborg, another GOAT, right? Cyborg is another GOAT, right? If you got a Mount Rushmore, Cyborg is up there. So is Ronda Rousey. So is Valentina Shevchenko. That's actually the four. Um, you could probably put Holly Holm in there since Holly Holm beat Ronda. But Ronda did a lot for the sport, so she's like a OG. Um, She beats Cyborg, she beats Sally Holmes, she beats Jermaine Durandamy, who is a dog, and Amanda was actually losing on her feet. She had to take her down and hold her down. Felicia Spencer, she just Jesus Christ, just beating the shit out of Felicia Spencer. Megan Anderson, she submitted her. And then finally, she meets Juliana Pena, right? So she was winning for 6 years straight. So you didn't see her lose for 6 years straight. But if you go to 2014, she loses to Kat Zingano by TKO. She's getting fucking blistered against Alexis Davis. She's getting fucking blistered. It's 2011, 2014. She's getting blistered. She's submitting. She's getting submitted. You know what I mean? Not submitted, but just pounded, just beat up. You know, and these. And she's always had these heavy hands, right? So she beats Shayna Baszler in 2015 and just didn't look back since. That Shayna Baszler from WWE. She doesn't look back since, right? And she go all the way up, and she loses to Juliana Pena, who Juliana Pena had just lost like to a fight before that. She won. She beat Sarah McMahon, who Sarah McMahon is a good fighter, but Sarah McMahon is not at the fucking top of the division, right? So she beat somebody who's just a person. She loses prior to that to Jermaine Manami. So in her 4 fights leading up to Amanda Nunes, she's 2-2. You know what I mean? Like she's 2-2, and she's only on a 1 fight winning streak. It's not like she lost two and then won two in dramatic fashion and got right back. That happens a lot. Um, she won by decision. She lost by getting choked, and then she choked somebody, and then she came one and beat Amanda. Right. So the the huge difference in success is why when they fought the first time, Juliana Pena was like a minus 800 underdog, like 8 to 1. Like if it's 8 to 1, minus 800 mean I think if you bet $10, you're gonna win. Is 800 or is it 80? It might be $800. Yeah, it's $800. I think you get what the hell I'm saying. It's a lot. So when they meet the first time, it's the exact fight, and I would highly recommend that anybody goes and watch Juliana Pena, Era Hawani. She cuts maybe the best promo I've ever seen out of anything in wrestling, UFC, anything. She's really talking that shit. Ariel can't believe it. I can't believe it either. So I'm like, cause I'm like, dog, like she just won 1 fight in a row. Like, where's this coming from? But she's talking so much shit. You like, okay, because she's saying, well, if she's gonna kill me, then let her kill me then. So I was like, oh shit. So she's like with it. She's like, okay, if she's so much better than me, then let's see it. No, I don't think nobody else had a better case. So they put her in there, and she proved that she was a UFC champion. She was UFC champion caliber. And at 135, I do think they may just be the best too. I don't know who's at 135. We'll see how it bounces back, but uh post fight, I'll talk about the damn fight in a minute. A post fight. Uh and you have this was the craziest thing about UFC is post fight, Amanda Nunes wins a dominant fight, right? Like one of the things is like 50 to 43, which is just crazy. Um 50 to 45. And Amanda Nunes looked beat the fuck up. She had one eye. It was blue. She's a light brown skinned lady, light caramel type of skin, and her eye is fucking blue and black and closed and swole. And she dominated the fight. So that goes to show you how fucking tough Juliana Payne was. She almost submitted her once, but getting into the fight, it was just a brawl. It was a 5 round brawl, and it felt like, after the fight, Amanda Nunes said she wanted the fight to go 5 rounds. And th- that don't make sense when you look at the damage that she has to her eye. But it does kind of make sense when you look at the fight because like I think in the second or third round she dropped her like 3 times and didn't she let her up. But she went for takedowns in the next round after. Like she took her down like 3 times and pounded her and threw some elbows and it looked a lot of it in hindsight, a lot of it looked like she just wanted to fucking fight. You know what I mean? Like the elbow she was throwing when she was on top, it looked so casual and it looked so like, bitch, I'm about to really hit your motherfucking ass. It looked so much like that. And like I said, if you look at the Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira fight, and he dropped Charles twice. He didn't jump on top of him to try to ground and pound and finish the fight. He just let him back up. And she did that. And then she started taking her down. So like I don't and ground and pounded. So and the shots were hard. Like she was hitting her. This Pena was flying off of her feet. These are hard fucking shots. It's crazy she hits this hard, but um it was a brutal, brutal fight. Pena just her forehead was just split open. Um and it was a real bloody, nasty fight. And Amanda Nunes from the gate, from the press conference, she looked great, dog. Like I don't know, she just looked way smaller than she's ever looked. Like in some fights, she's never been fat, but to me there was a difference in her waist, and it just in her overall size, in her face. She just looked a lot smaller. She looked a lot smaller in the octagon for the fight. She looked really similar. Like I don't know how bad the weight cut was, but I'm gonna go back and look at. The matter of fact, let's do that now. Let's do Pena Nunes. Weigh in. Pena Nunes won. Weigh in. Let's see if we can go back and find something. Yeah, Paul. Yeah, way one. She looks way bigger. Now, and I don't mean bigger. She has more muscle on her. She has much more around her waist. It's all lean, but it's there in comparison to. Let's see how she looks on two. And I mean this about Pena and Nunes as well. But Nunes just looks like a smaller person. Where is it? Let's see if we can find one. Yeah, right here. Yeah, oh yeah, she's just a smaller person in general, dude. Like she's not like ripped, because that muscle. When it's time to go, when you get tired, that muscle is what's gonna make you tired. Need all that lactic acid, but she's looks much smaller as a person, so I can see that's how cardio was just so great. She looked great for the whole round. She's never looked like that for 5 rounds. Like even as champion, against Durandamy, she didn't look gassed against Durandamy, but she damn sure looked tired against certain parts of Durandamy. So I just thought she looked great. I thought it was a fantastic fight. I thought it was one of the best women's fights I've ever seen. Just as far as toughness, grit, and I think Amanda Nunes. Man, look at Amanda in the in the promo. She looks she looks big, just much bigger. She's just a much bigger person in general, man. I'm a tweet that when I post this. I'm gonna show y'all because I'm just so like amazing. So, Brandon Moreno, Kai France, another fantastic fight as the 125 was always on. Kai France almost had it. It was just a great fight. Uh, if you go and look on Twitter and just look at Kai France body shot, it actually shows. I'll post that too. Where the toes hit his liver, it's a there's a toe print, a fucking bloody toe print, like a foot print, but in blood where his liver is and where that liver kick hit. I don't know, a lot of people just don't know about liver kicks and liver punches, liver shots, your whole body just fucking goes under shock and it just shuts down. So that's what happened to him. And it's such a light touch that can put your liver out and make you go out like that. So for it to be just a nasty, nasty body kick, I'll post a picture of that. It's just crazy. Derek Lewis against Popovich. I actually kind of knew Derek Lewis would just get pieced up because I saw Popovich fight last who did he fight last? He fought somebody last time. And I'm like, wait, this dude is fucking huge. And he's throwing them dogs like he's really in that bitch trying to throw. So these type of fights for Derek Lewis, I don't think wait. First of all, it was a bad stoppage. It was an awful stoppage, an early stoppage. But I think this dude is a beast. Like this is dudes like this is fodder. Typically, he's food for Derek Lewis. But he's 30 years old. He's not some old heavyweight. They need to really start like I think they just kind of building guys off of Derek Lewis, and that's what you're supposed to do. And as him as the older guy giving these young guys a chance, I think first of all, he didn't know his name. So he probably need to get that together. Um, because these dudes are from Russia. Like, yo, we come from bad neighborhoods here, right? Derek Lewis, I'm sure he's from, you know, some terrible neighborhood in Houston, Louisiana, where we from. We come from bad neighborhoods. Yo, but these niggas in Russia are like they heating up like a lot of these people they come from. They heating up with like logs, nigga. They burning wood for fire. We ain't really doing none of that. You know what I mean? It ain't good, and you can't compare tragedy. I try not to compare people's situation at all, but it's a different, and they in the fucking tundra out there. You know what I mean? It's a different type of tough. Um, when you out there, it's a real different world of fighters these cats are, and we're seeing it in MMA. We've seen it with Peter Yan. Even though Peter Yan has lost, Peter Yan's a fucking savage. They've seen it in boxing, where these dudes are just tougher. Canelo just lost. Um, but Anthony Joshua, these dudes are just a little bit different. Um, so I think Derek Lewis found out that, and him not knowing his name, I think he thought this is just another guy. Um, excuse me, and that's incorrect. Magomed Ankalaev against Anthony Smith. I mean Ankalaev is just he's a beast. Like I don't, he hits hard. He first of all, it looks like he hits hard as fuck. He looks like a fucking half a Bigfoot. It just looks like damn. I forgot Paulo Costa and Luke Rocco was supposed to be on this card. Wow. Um, he just looks like he hit hard as fuck. And I think that's what happened. I think Anthony Smith damn near broke his leg, whatever happened, but the fight wasn't close. He was getting pieced up a lot, and I don't know what Anthony Smith's gonna do. You know what I mean? Like I know he's trying to get his way back to the title. He lost a lot of steam after the Jones fight, but his career's always kind of been up and down. What's his record? He's 36-17. You know what I mean? Like his career has always kind of been up and down, or it's more ups and downs. Obviously, he has a winning record, but I think he needs to probably understand what type of fighter he is, and what not what type of fighter he is, what part of his career in fighting is he? Um, because he could just be he's a great commentator. He's great. The times I've seen him on Michael Bisping talking with Michael Bisping, so he's great doing that. So obviously he has a good backup job. Um, But I don't know what does he fall in. I know a couple fights ago he fought a newer cat, the guy with the deer antlers or deer something tatted on it. What's this cat name? I know he fought that guy. He fought this cat recently. Let me find his record real quick. Show him a little respect. Devin Clark. So he beat Devin Clark. He beat Jimmy Crute. He beat Ryan Spann. So he gets back to these points. So and that's how I figured his career is. So if you look at his career, mostly his UFC career, it started in in really like 2016 and 17. So he beat three people, and then he loses to Thiago Santos. I believe this is when he was at 185. And then he goes in. Yeah, I think this when he moved up to 205. He beats three people again. He beats Rashad. He beats Shogun. He beats Volkan Ozdemir, and he loses to John Jones. Then he beats Gustafson. He submits him, and he loses to Glover and Rakic. And then he wins three again. Devin Clark, Jimmy Crute, Ryan Spann. And then he loses to Magomed Ankalaev. So he puts together the fights. If you look at his career before through Bellator, it's a point where he won like 6, 7 straight. And he lost in like an Ultimate Fighter thing. It looks like he may have won the one of the Ultimate Fighters, but just looking at his MMA career, dude, this dude's been fighting since 2008. He's an actual fucking like professional fighter. That's kind of crazy to make your living off of fighting. Not just what I mean. Obviously, you make your living off fighting it, but like motherfucking been fighting since 2008. And that's a long time to take punches. These ain't boxing. This is MMA. So you take elbows, submit, good submissions going. Like it's a lot of stuff to worry about. Um, yeah, but yeah, so yeah, with Anthony Smith, she can figure out himself. How why am I trying to figure out his fucking career? But he's a good fighter, man. He just can't, it's just a certain little threshold he hits, and he has to reset again. So I guess it's up to him to figure out. He's 34 years old. He still can go. So I guess it's up to him to figure out. And he broke his leg in the damn. Yeah, I guess it's up to him to figure out what you want to do next. You know what I mean? So coming back from a broken leg, I'm sure that's not a real easy thing to do. But I thought this last UFC event was great. Um, the prelims, I think the prelims was all right, but it wasn't the greatest cards. I've seen better cards, but I don't know how the UFC how the numbers go. I don't really look at their numbers. But looking at UFC 278, what I say 208, 278 is looking fantastic. So first of all, Kamaru Usman and then Leon Edwards at the top of the card. Leon's is pretty much a 3-1 underdog. I don't know how I feel about that. Jose Aldo against Marab, um, Paulo Costa and Lugraco. That's what this got pushed to. Francisco Figueroa against okay. Romanov against Tabira. Okay, that's a good fight because Romanov is a monster. Um, okay, yeah, this card is just we'll see what it is when we get there. Um, yeah, not a great card. 278. What the like? This is definitely a title contending. Oh, they in Utah. Why would they be in Utah? Okay, they are in Utah. I remember Leon Edwards. He did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and they asked him, "Does he know where Utah is?" He has no fucking idea where Utah is. He's never been to Utah, and they had to actually put out a map to find out where the fuck is Utah. Because obviously Leon Edwards is from England, Birmingham, England, something like that. And whenever he has to come here, it's usually just to go to Vegas or maybe to LA, New York, one of the hot spots. Nobody goes to fucking Utah. So he was a little surprised as Utah. Likes to be is in Utah because he just wants to fight, but they had no fucking idea what Utah is. So, I think the Jose Aldo fight is a great co-main. I think Paulo Costa and Luke Rocco is a great co-main. But after that, Jesus, Francisco Figueredo, what the fuck? Um, Alexander Romanov. I mean, okay. I mean, maybe it's to showcase Amir Albazi. He's 14-1. Okay, so more or less to showcase Amir Albazi. I'm not too familiar with it. I watched the tape on my. I talked to him about him on Twitter. He's from Iraq. Oh, we. He's 14-1. I know Francisco Figueredo. He had a quick win against somebody last. It was a quick submission. He like dislocated a motherfucker on shoulder real quick, like a fucking roach. Um, so we'll see how what they're trying to do when they put him in there. But just looking at it, things may change. You know, shit changes all the time with these UFC cards. Looking at initial, I like the last three fights, but when UFC pay per views going up like $10, $12, uh, I want y'all to get it together, please. Um, what else did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about. I didn't think I was going to be talking about UFC that long. I want to talk about a little bit about the quarterback situation in the NFL. Of course, I don't. I just been following this purely through social media. Um, I know Lamar Jackson won MVP. I did not see his MVP year, but I saw stats, and I saw the quote from a anonymous, of course, anonymous defense coordinator with a very nonsensical quote. I actually don't believe that the quote comes from an anonymous person. I believe the person who said it made it up or heard somebody else said it and just threw a GM name on it because as a GM, not a GM, a defensive coordinator, that's not even a logical unless it's somebody in division, right? Unless it's a Cincinnati, because division they're gonna talk shit. It won't be too many compliments. You know what I mean? So I thought the quote was very nonsensical, and I saw a lot of things, and I'll ask y'all. Actually, I've discussed this a little bit on the TL. I'll ask y'all, how can a quarterback who's never been to the playoffs in a short amount of time, right? This we're talking. This may be Justin Herbert's third or fourth year. He may be in the league 3 or 4 years. This may be the third right now. Lamar Jackson is 1 year older than him, but I think he's still a lot younger than most quarterbacks. So I think he may have been in the league 4 or 5 years. How can someone who's already succeeded, being an MVP, a most valuable player, can be put lower than someone who's never been to the playoffs? And we're talking quarterback. Quarterback is primarily based upon success and MVPs. The MVPs think it's a little skittish because the NFL MVP is not as, for some reason, to me, it feel like it doesn't carry as much weight or it doesn't have as much maybe drama behind it as the NBA MVP. I think the NBA in general just has a lot more drama. It's a lot more drama driven. The gossip and the trades and the signings. Um, than the NFL. So that's probably a thing. But the NFL MVP, is it just disregarded? I mean, that's the only reason I can see somebody who's been in the league 4 or 5 years and has gotten an MVP versus somebody who's been in the league 3 or 4 years and hasn't even been to the playoffs. And at quarterback, how can on every list and stats similar, what is that? Because the nonsensical defensive quote, uh, the nonsensical quote is a racist quote. Um, It's not racist. It's well, it's not racist in he didn't say nigga, but it has prejudice built within it. Um, and you can only interpret certain things in certain ways. You know what I mean? Like after 300-400 years of having these kind of things going on, you look at history to kind of make your decision on the present, right? Like when people say like the word nigga, for instance, if cracker versus nigga, that I think that's a good way to do it. Cracker doesn't have any history behind it. Like it has prejudice behind it, but it doesn't have historical like of racism behind it. It's more hate behind it than prejudice. Like you know what I mean? There's hundreds of years behind one word and like 32 or 42 behind the other one. Like it's an unfair comparison, but it's a comparison that's brought up because maybe one side is trying to, I don't know, this oppression Olympics thing it's been a multi-sided thing. And even people who usually don't uh, cry for help and assistance or being oppressed, those people are saying, "Hey, well, this happened to me. This happened to me," and that's how we kind of fall into some things. But getting off of that, I think the quote just has a lot of prejudice in it that just looks like uh, racism. Is walling, it's quacking. It don't fly that much, so we're gonna call it what it is. Uh, I wanted to move on to we're gonna stay on football too. So it's a lot of hot spots I want to touch on, and it's a lot of things I wanted to get through. Actually, the UFC kind of helped me up, just because I get so excited that the fucking Nunez and Pena fight was just so bloody, just two motherfuckers just going at it, man. I don't really like seeing women just like it's very weird, um, but competitive spirit and just toughness and grit. You can see it in them. You can see that they want it. When you have women or any fighters in there, when you can see the damage is so one shot sided that they don't want to be in there anymore. That's when it looks really bad, really cringe. Justin Gaethje against Tony Ferguson looked like that. I believe Tony Ferguson had a broken orbital bone, and he just kept getting hit in it by the dude who hits the fucking hardest. And at a certain point where he just winced and he just completely turned his body away. And it looked bad, it looked cringe. And you could tell a broken orbital is a fucking broken tectonic plate, a broken face plate. So I'm sure getting punched in it. Fucking hurts. So getting off there, going back, I want to talk about the Jake Paul thing because that is a quote unquote fight I knew was not gonna happen anyway. Um, the Tommy Fury guy, initially this was Tommy Fury against Jake Paul. Tommy Fury is faking and acting like he can't get into the country, right? So about a month and a half ago, Tommy Fury said he couldn't get in the country. He's banned. He's basically banned from the United States, right? The fight, it's not even set to go until like next week, and this was at least a month and a half, 2 months ago. What all of this is. So um, I I kind of think this has been a sham from the beginning because how can you have two opponents cancel on you in a span of 2 months um, for a fight, quote unquote fight that was supposed to be booked in Madison Square Garden, and when it was booked initially, an opponent wasn't even put out there. It was just Jake Paul versus question marks. Jake Paul versus fucking Mr. America. Hulk Hogan with the silver and blue mask on against Rey Mysterio. There was no opponent. So this feels like everything just feels like a sham. Um, so they had I saw Rockman's son step in. He initially complained a lot about the weight clause and Jake Paul in his camp, who's been much bigger than everybody who he's fought. This dude weighs Jake Paul weighs like 190 for 195. Tyron Woodley fought at 170, and you may say, "Well, Tyron Woodley is a is a fighter, he's a champion." We know that. Jake Paul know how to box. Y'all didn't know that. Like people who know how to fight, other boxers think they know how to box too. They just want to see them go against actual boxing competition. If you've ever seen Roy Jones Jr. talk about them, or I think Paulie Malignaggi, what's his? He beat Roy Jones. Antonio Tarver. They all respect these dudes' actual boxing skills. That they respect that they go in there and they work to train. They know the people that they train with, and they talk to those people and they say, "Yeah, these dudes get it in." You can look YouTube, you can listen to this. So when you're fighting a dude who's 30 pounds smaller than you, it's a little different. Even if he is a quote unquote real fighter. Nate Robinson, basketball player. Um, Ben Askren, an old retired fighter who's never been known to punch anybody. He was all wrestling, all takedown. That was really bad. But he was also a 170 too. And he also had hip surgery like the next week. So Jesus Christ, uh, they had the potential with this fight, and it just couldn't follow through. The weight thing looked like a real issue, and it looked like they wanted to make it as a real issue. Either they wanted to completely drain him. I seen Rockman before he got to the boxing ring. Because in his weight class, he had to get to like 200 and I think 205 pounds, right? And he's a big guy, but he's not uh, huge. But um, he had to cut the weight, and they said by that night he had to be like 214, but he had to stay that way. Whatever the boxing clause was, it was a very very strenuous clause, and even other people, MMA fighters, spoke on it, and they said like, yeah, this is pretty crazy. That you would try to put somebody through this. So they wanted to dream as much as possible, but it actually ended on a bad side where they had to cancel the fucking fight completely. So just all a sham. At some point, I will actually maybe respect this if um these cats fight real people. But I really don't see that happening really at all. But we'll see how it go. Maybe next one. I'm not sure who else they can put Will Rabbit out the hat to try to fight because every fight has been handpicked. Like I said, you fought Nate Robinson, who's a 5'6" basketball player, um, who weighs 150, 160 pounds. Like you probably have 40 pounds on this dude, and he don't know how to box. So that's what really throws everything off. And it's just, yeah, it's pretty disrespectful. But the boxing cats, to me, the boxing cats think it's cool, so I'm all right with it. Roy Jones, Antonio Tarver, and all these legends. I've seen Lennox Lewis say things on it, and it wasn't dismissive. So if they cool with it, I can somewhat tolerate it. Uh, but yeah, moving on to another topic. Something else I want to discuss. I want to discuss the two nasties. Um, and this is all the way off the board. The two nasties. The first nasty is a nasty we've discussed. Is Nasty Man Watson, right? So Nasty Man Watson, it is looking like that he may get a 6. I've seen up to 12, but let's say a 6 to 8 game suspension. Quick, 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 quick moment of silence, real quick. Okay, So if you have 26 lawsuits and you've had to settle so far 25 of them, are you guilty or are you not guilty? If you have 26 lawsuits and let's see if we got some devil's advocate people. 26 lawsuits. You may say 26 lawsuits don't mean he's guilty. That just means people sued him 26 times. True. What does 25 settlements mean? Because if it's not true, then it's not true. 25 settlements so far. It's like 56 women. So Calvin Ridley last year somehow revealed, I think he self-snitched, somebody saw his name. Nigga did a parlay, 3-game parlay. He got suspended for the year. He didn't bet on his own team or himself, but he did bet. 26 lawsuits based upon sexual assault, 25 settlements so far. Parlay. 1 year, 6 to 8 games, and a now 17-game season, right? So doesn't make sense. This is another reason. And if I was watching football, this would be another reason that I wouldn't. I would actually not watch it. And this is the reason I'm actually not going to watch it again. Uh, so I'll maybe discuss the gambling side of it because you can just look at stats. You don't got to watch the game to you can study stats. But I definitely won't be watching this product again. Uh, pretty wild, right? So there's another nasty, and his name is Nasty Big Man. So Nasty Big Man is 77 years old. Vince McMahon is 77 years old, right? So y'all know I know a little bit about the wrestling, right? So in 2000 and I would say 4 5ish, the WWE and years before that, prior before that, WWE went to a training company called OVW. OVW, if anybody know about wrestling, etc., it's ran by a guy named Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette, manager, podcaster now, but this guy's been in the wrestling business since the late 70s. Jim Ross was the guy over talent relations. Talent relations is the guy who hires the guys. Kurt Angle, The Rock, and plenty other guys were signed by Jim Ross. Cornette's and Jim Ross relationship would be more or less, I'm training guys, I'm sending them to you. When I need guys, if y'all get some guys that's in trouble, you need to get them in shape. Like the Big Show would have to go out there. Mark Henry went out there because they need to lose weight, come off television. Go out there, get some work, teach the young guys. This was broken up by Vince McMahon and a gentleman named John Laurinaitis. From that, they started FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, right? So they took it from OVW, they went to Florida. That later became NXT, which is on television now, after Laurinaitis had to go. Then Triple H came in, and that's how we got NXT. John Laurinaitis had to go because John Laurinaitis um, cost the company millions of dollars by having uh, sex with, I don't know if it was forcible, but he had to fucking go. They were sued. He had to go, and this was in, let's say, 2014ish. 11ish, 10 to 15. I don't know the exact year. It's in between this time, right? So it goes from that and it goes to NXT. Triple H comes in, it's a totally different regime, right? So there's always been these stores. You guys have seen Dark Side of the Ring. We've talked about Dark Side of the Ring, where where the wrestling cast was on a plane. They were drunk, belligerent, high off of fucking pills, um, assaulting um the flight attendants, sexual assaulting some of them. Not nobody. I don't think anybody grabbing them, groping them, shit like this, right? Just disgusting shit. And it was rumored Vince McMahon was on a plane. There's been some people that kick back on that. The majority of people know he was at the front of the plane, right? There's also been rumors that Vince McMahon in other situations have coerced is I guess a legal word I'll use several women into doing what he wanted them to do for creative to get more creative push and then not pushing them. So not only is he a shitty businessman, he's worse type shitty businessman because he tell him, "You give me some head, I give you a job." And he get the head, don't he getting a job? So he's the ultimate piece of shit. So in let us say between 2016ish to 2020ish, well, more before that, wrestling has sucked for a very long time. Has been trash more of my life than it's been good most of my life. You know what I mean? Like it's been garbage more than it's been good in my life. So in 2000, I think maybe 18ish, Vince McMahon goes down to NXT because he's famed to be this guy that just looks forward. He only worry about one thing and he overreacts. So he goes on there. He doesn't see the talent that he sees talent that he doesn't like, and he overreacts. He takes everything from Triple H, NXT. He gives it to John Laurinaitis. He makes John Laurinaitis over talented again, just like he when he removed Jim Cornette. John Laurinaitis took Jim Ross's job, and then John Laurinaitis also ran the FCW. So they knocked two people out. They knocked Cornette out, and they knocked Jim Ross out at the same time. And Laurinaitis did both of those jobs. He kind of oversaw both of them. This time, when he oversaw both of that, it's this period I'm talking about where wrestling is horrible. It's what you've been seeing in wrestling since 2006, maybe. Everything since past 2006 is been on Laurinaitis and McMahon up until 15, 16, and now back again up until recently, right? So the lawsuits, I'm trying to give you some history on a little bit of everything. And so it's been he's had lawsuits before, Vince McMahon, right? Both of them. So Laurinaitis got pushed out of the company because of the lawsuit before. Vince McMahon he's been sued times in before. There's been rumors time before where he's done the same thing, coerce women into doing this for for a spot, and not doing it for him or doing it for him. And it comes out that most recently, there was an intern or a paralegal. I'm sorry, a paralegal that was she lived with Vince McMahon, right? So you say you live with McMahon, she's married. He's 77. I'm gonna assume that him and his old lady ain't been married for quite a while. If you're just kind of looking from outside in, obviously we don't know what's going on. But they both look like they have their own little power moves and power plays. So the paralegal was hired in, but she wasn't a paralegal. She had never done it before. So she was hired in at three times or four times the average salary for paralegal in Connecticut. In Connecticut, which is, Connecticut, I'm assuming is a little bit higher because the cost of living is higher out there. So she's paid four times the amount as that. And as she's working, everybody's finding out that she has no idea what she's actually doing. Like, and also she brags. well, not brags, but just casually talks about her relationship with Vince McMahon. Apparently, this is in the books. They live together in an apartment in Connecticut. So it looks as though he's getting some outside cat, he decided to bring inside. And by inside, I mean inside his company and pay her that way. The problem with this, how I got into legal trouble is the next year she got a raise. She got double a fucking raise. So she's making 100,000. She got 200,000. If that's your money, you're still a fucking awful person. It's not really that illegal. Problem is, he was using somebody else's money, which is public money. Why is wrestling public company? I don't know why anybody would trust Vince McMahon and pull money into Vince McMahon's hands. I would have absolutely no idea. Um, but this is the thing. So in 2019, according to the books, Vince McMahon, this paralegal leaves this position and goes to work under John Laurinaitis, where it is stated that then John Laurinaitis starts to have an affair with this same young lady. So at 75 years old, maybe 74, a CEO of a company brought in who a woman he was fucking and a job she had no idea she can do and gave her raises and raises. And then maybe he was seemingly done with her. He moved her to another position where his former friend or his friend who was in the company before and fired for the same type of shit comes back and he passes her to him. These are 60 and 70-year olds, 75 and like 60 something year olds, right? And then she signs an NDA and she goes. And it's NDA and like I guess a $3 million payment to stay quiet, right? So how all this comes back out, I assume, I assume maybe throughout her talks and friendship with her friends while she was fucking Vince McMahon, since she was bold enough to say this at work. It reported that at one point one of the managers inside WWE had to pull up to the side and say, "Hey, you're making shit awkward. Stop fucking talking about fucking Vince McMahon. We know. We don't need to hear about it. We don't need to hear about Vince's fucking quibbles. You know what I mean?" Um, so first of all, the overall lack of maturity of just of everything that's going around here is pretty wild. The second thing is, well, the second thing is, let me kind of get back to it, right? So he pays her, she goes India, right? Supposedly this is $2-3 million, $3 million to just disappear and leave after fucking I don't know, right? So this is all crazy. So they see this, and by the chairman after the chair the board. Now I want to say the chairman. He's the chairman. One of the chairman, the board of chair people, they find this out, and the legal part about it is that he's using company funds to pay her. He used company funds to give her raises she didn't need, and he used company funds to pay the 2-3 millions. Now, the tricky part is it's been coming out story after story that this nigga has like 20 million of NDAs and keep hush money that he's been doing within the last 15 years, maybe 10 years, 10, 15, almost $23 million of don't say this, we fuck, don't say this, we fuck. Now I'm gonna leave this floating thing out here. And paying 3, 4, $5 million. One of the biggest cases was like 8, paying somebody $8 million to not say anything about me at all, that kind of don't sound like just fucking. Like it doesn't sound very consensual to me that $23 million of payments can go out to women to stay quiet about our relationship. That doesn't seem that don't make sense to me. That don't make sense to me at all. Um, so why you know, the them being married part, and we're in 2022, that wasn't even brought up. Like sympathy for his wife wasn't even brought up by anybody, because I think everybody kind of know that, they probably ain't living in the same house in 20 years. Being 75 and 70 and 71, 73 years old, using company funds, living with a chick in a paralegal, and bringing it into your company, WWE, which is one of just the most famed companies, and having all the paralegals know and all the people know secretively that you're fucking all of these women, and there's other women who have had to give you favors, sexual favors. You have to pay off other women. What in the flying hickory fuck could possibly be going through a 75-year-old? This is worse than a Robert Kraft shit. Like the Robert Kraft got away with a crime. He was busted in. By the fucking FBI busted in. Didn't even know the dumbass nigga was in there. He was just there. So they wasn't even there for him. He was just there. So he's definitely committing a crime. If you just there. If the if the strip club, you come to the strip club and you see me there, nigga, and you wasn't trying to meet me there, I'm probably always there. So Robert Kraft was just there. When they busted that place, this nigga was just in there drinking some water. He was just having a couple fucking agua. Vince McMahon is 75 years old, 77, passing off pussy. And this is not even the worst part. The worst part is John Laurinaitis, his wife, was fighting brain cancer during this time. So these are maybe two of some of the worst type of people you're gonna meet. Um, it, it's pretty shocking. It's not really that shocking. He's been a nasty. The fact that there's been like decades of rumors and lawsuits and stuff like this, and innuendo stuff like this going on, and he's been such a overly horny character, especially like, let's say, over the last 20 years. For the first 12, I think it's some pretty sick shit. I'm gonna keep it cool. I think it's a pretty sick shit. And these are the two nasties, because what the fuck? Watson is he's a football no, like I just said, you can't separate the art something. Like Watson is a prodigy at what he does. Anybody who's ever played football or played quarterback talks about his potential and what he is right now. Vince McMahon has run one of the most successful companies in one of the weirdest pieces of entertainment. It's such a niche. I compare wrestling to like the liquor business, because the liquor business is retail it ain't selling shirts and fucking clothes. And as much as you want to treat it like selling shirts and clothes because you both get money for them, it ain't selling shirts, clothes, and socks and shoes and shit. It's not the same. And wrestling is entertainment, but it damn sure ain't the same kind of entertainment as anything else. It's basically a male soap opera. It's what the women watch uh all these love and hip hop shows and these stripper hip hop shows or whatever these shows for. Is it's a combat version of that. Simulated combat, or at least it's supposed to be. Um so for these people, and then watching's like DMing women on Instagram. It's so crazy that people can just have so much in front of them and so much potential and so much like a bit so much of ability to change things for the better for people. WWE is famed for doing the make a wish stuff. John Cena's done more make a wishes than anybody ever in history. And he made a decision, John Cena, business wise, to never go heel, to never be a bad guy on television. We always wanted it. We always looked for him to be a bad guy on television. And he never did it because if he was a bad guy on television, he couldn't do the make a wish stuff. He couldn't do make a wish for the kids. That's what type of motherfuckers. Even John Cena could be a terrible person. I don't know what he is. But the fact that you got somebody like that, the fact that you have a company like that changes lives like that, WWE changed what they do in general so they can have kids in front of the audience. You look nice, kids in front of the audience. They changed everything. And you got the nastiest motherfucker in the history of American television, close to it, being a fucking deviant behind stage. Not even being a deviant in his own world. I mean, outside of his world. If you say Vince McMahon got caught with some prostitutes, if you say Vince McMahon got caught with Rob Kraft got caught up with it, I'd be like, okay, I can believe this. But this type of interplay in a thing, like, it's just nasty. There hasn't been any like proof of wrongdoing. It's just to me a nasty way to carry yourself. I don't know what it is. Like it's 77, dog. It's 77. You can't babyface this. Like he tried to come back and do the come back and it's us forever and skipping off the steps. Dog, you can't babyface this. You can't be the good guy. So I don't know if Vince McMahon just worked himself into that. He tried to make himself the good guy back when Bret Hart left, when he thought he could come out and the fans was gonna sympathize with him. I think he thinks he still has that same psychological effect. You don't. You don't, player. And that's proof by him being forced to retire. Imagine this shit. Vince McMahon having to retire his own company. Shit he bought from his daddy company that he decided to make public. Idiot is how you lose it, but just for being too damn nasty, man. Just for being too damn nasty. So thank y'all for listening. I have to end that just on a nasty note, unfortunately, man. But my goodness, man, I just get disgusted when people got everything in front of them. That's why I don't show no sympathy to criminals, especially millionaire criminals. You got $1 million, you got $10 million. You can do a lot for people. You could go up to your old neighborhood and say, "I'm gonna pay y'all light bill for 2 months," and the whole neighborhood will feel a fucking relief. But nobody decides to do that. They decide to abuse their power and just use it for just terrible shit. So um I hate seeing stuff like that, and I hate reading about shit like that. Um, Especially like goddamn, you tell somebody, hey, you gotta fuck me for a position, you don't even give it to him. God damn, Jesus Christ. And nigga, at least at least agree on the deal. At least do your part on the deal. This nigga is just terrible. Either way it goes. So appreciate y'all for listening. Episode 108. We're gonna go on YouTube at Dusty Rhodes. Holler.